Hi everyone, I'm Caron Ria with Real Estate One and Caron's Corner Fireside Chat. Welcome today. Jacqueline, thank you for joining us. Tell us about your business. What's the name of your business?
So the name of my business is Barefoot and Borders Travel, and I'm happy to be here today.
Well, thanks. We really appreciate you coming in and talking to us about what you do. So how long have you been in business?
I've been in business for over 16 years.
Oh, nice.
I kind of stopped counting after that.
Yeah.
So a long time.
Yeah. And do you work primarily with people like me, or do you work with maybe like large groups through companies?
No, individuals. So I do individuals or a group. So a group is if you have, let's say, 4 couples or 5. The group is not 100 plus. It's smaller groups, but mostly my business is individuals, families, couples.
That's great. It's a good variety of people, I'm sure.
Yes.
Probably keeps it very interesting.
It does.
Yeah. So I understand you just returned from a European trip.
I did. I attended an Asta River Expo, which I was able to tour 15 different ships, which is amazing because I got to see all the different brands of ships. While I've sold river cruises, being on them and seeing the differences it's game changer. So, and that was in Vienna, Austria, because that's where all the river cruise lines, they're all in Europe. So it's not, you can't see them really here in the U.S. So, and then I did a post cruise. So after that was done, we did a 7-day cruise on the Danube.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. So you were gone for the 7-day cruise, and how long was the trip before that?
Leading up to that was about 4 days. I was gone for 2 weeks total.
Yeah, so that was probably very action-packed.
It was. The actual cruise was much more relaxing.
Yeah.
We did 6 countries in 7 days, and the way river cruises work is, for us, they wanted to really have us experience it, so we were there. We had already picked out excursions ahead of time, and that's how river cruises work. They're included, so you can pick out from a multiple. They have, some may have 3, some may have 4 different ones. You can pick them ahead of time. You can always change them. Once you get there, you talk to them when you arrive. But they were in the morning, so we would go out in the morning and do our excursion, and then we would come back, and later in the evening, depending on when we were supposed to depart, then we would leave for the next city.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's like my kind of itinerary. I would love that. I've never done a river cruise.
They're small, so we had 170 people on board total.
See, that is so nice.
Very
so it's like you're not
personalized.
constantly like waiting in line to do something.
There's no waiting, no. And then they brought in local entertainment certain evenings when we were in each port. So it was actually really a great experience.
Yeah. I mean, and what better way to get to know the area and the culture by seeing the local entertainment that way?
Correct.
That's great.
Yes.
So you've been to Europe, and what are some other places that you've loved? That I'm sure you've been
There's a
everywhere.
lot of places I love in Europe, but near and dear to my heart is like my second home is Italy. We lived there for a couple years, and so I love it. And I do Italy trips almost daily.
Yeah.
And Europe is really one of my niches that I do every day. I mean, I can do all the other stuff. I can do the all-inclusives. I can do ocean cruises. But for me, I love doing Europe, and even, getting into New Zealand and Australia, because that's a more fit. It's, we're building it from scratch. And we're building your package, and I would say, not 50-50. Most people really want to go out there on their own, but they don't want to be quite on their own. So they, this is where you're picked up at the airport, and then you're met at the hotel. So you're on your own, but yet you still have people assisting you getting around to the train station, to your tours. And then, there's also, if you want to do a group tour, some people really like to do there's 40 people and you're on a bus and you do change locations, but what's really nice now is there's so many different types of those tours where it could be anywhere from 8 people to 40.
Yeah.
And there are some tours I didn't experience last year in Italy where you got dropped off at the hotel and you stayed for a week, but you did day tours. So you went out no further than like an hour away. And then you had your evenings, and you could if you were too tired, you could not go on a tour. So there's so many different options out there now. If you aren't comfortable doing it, with you and your husband or you and your family, that you can do tours that are not these big tours.
Yeah.
When I build the packages, I work with destination management companies that are always in Europe.
Yeah.
So they have the latest updates, and we have the connections, and so working with them is great. And seeing the joy on someone's face when they return, because we worked on, we spent time, building what they want to do. So it's what they want to do with free time and busy time and seeing stuff, and it could be touring, iconic places, or going on a wine tour. I mean, or a bike tour. I mean, there's so many things you can do now. So it's really, and that's part of when a client reaches out to me, we have a phone consultation to discuss details. Talking is much better than, an initial, to get to know what they want to do and what they don't want to do.
Yeah, and there's so much available on the internet, and that's good and bad, because it's overwhelming. I mean, sure, you could look something up and get an idea, but then usually there's 25 ideas of things to do, and then how do you narrow it down, and how do you know how far it is to get there? Are you going to spend 3 hours each way getting to that destination for that tour for the day? And so you always know the ins and outs of that, and how to make the best use of someone's time while they're there.
Right. And the internet is a great tool for getting information. Going from there it's completely different.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how did you get started in this? What made you
want
to do this? Was
it
an
goes back.
accident?
It actually goes back to our honeymoon. We on our honeymoon, we got back, and my husband, after we were back for a while, he's like, it's really interesting that, we had a great honeymoon, but in hindsight, we could have went somewhere else for the same cost.
Yeah.
And seen a lot more, and it was a totally different destination. And what he said to me is, I don't understand why the person that we worked with never suggested other options. And so, fast forward a few years, and I started getting into it, and that's my biggest thing, is someone calls me and says, hey, I want to go to Italy. In our discussion, we talk about Italy and other locations, and if I think it's too close to the time, or like right now, it's the Jubilee in Italy. And I'm like, there's certain places you don't want. I mean, it's just, it's busy. It's really, really busy. And, if there's another destination you might want to try first, maybe you want to, go to Italy next year. So, that's part of when you talk to someone, when you talk about their vacation, is you want to get enough information and see if that's the only place you're looking at. Because they may be like, oh, well, this is another place I might look at, and then we'll look at both of them. And
who knows, they could go to more than one or two places.
Right.
And for so many people, it's a trip of a lifetime for them. It's not like they are doing a trip like this every 2 years or every 3 or 4 years. So from the honeymoon, you learned what you didn't want other people to experience.
Correct. Correct. I feel like people should know there's other options, and I just think that's part of it. Part of what I do is getting to know someone, and then what they really want to do, and then because if you don't really know what they want to do, you don't want to just throw stuff at them. You want them to you want them involved, from start to finish, and that's where I'm at. I mean, there's once they finalize their booking, there are months where we may not talk, because nothing's happening at that point, and then we start reaching out. But that is one thing, is my objective really is, I always want them to have someone to talk to should they need someone. So most of my people I work with, when we're booking, they have someone to call should they need something. Things happen, and by that I mean I really don't want them to have to call an 800 number. I want them to call and talk to a person. I mean, sometimes I have that, but being able to reach out to somebody personally is much easier.
Well, it sounds like you're very hands-on, very personable. I've really enjoyed chatting with you.
Thank you.
Even before this started, we got to know each other a little bit.
Thank you.
So how would the viewers find you? What's the best way to contact you?
So you could go to my webpage, which is Barefoot and Borders Travel.com. You could call me, you could text me. Facebook's out there. I have a Facebook page. I'm in the chamber. I'm referral only, so I guess you could just reach out. I could even reach out to you. You have my contact information.
Absolutely.
So it's a great way. So
Yeah. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Thank you for being here and
Thanks for
sharing
having me. I
your
appreciate it.
expertise and
Thank you.
background. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know your business a little bit more in the future.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for joining us. I am Caron Cotelis-Ria with Real Estate One. Don't make a move without me.